Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Raihan Alya. I am from International Economic Development Program. In this opportunity, I will discuss about foreign finance investment, aid, the controversies, and the opportunity of that matter. As usual, you can find this material in Chapter 14. Understanding foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment, or FDI, refers to a long-term investment by an investor in an enterprise in another economy, resulting in lasting interest with significant influence over the overseas enterprise. FDI typically occurs through mergers and acquisition or setting up of business operation by the investor in a foreign economy. The investor is known as the direct investor, while the overseas enterprise is known as the direct investment enterprise. For example, when a company based in Singapore invests in an enterprise domiciled overseas, the Singapore-based company is the direct investor and the overseas firm is the direct investment enterprise. The transaction capture will be recorded in Singapore outward FDI. Conversely, inward FDI is recorded when a foreign direct investor invests in Singapore. How is FDI measured? FDI is measured by the sum of three components: equity capital invested by the direct investor in the direct investment enterprise, retained earnings accrued to the direct investor, which are earnings generated by the direct investment enterprise after deducting the dividends payable to the direct investor, and net intercompany loans between the direct investor and the direct investment enterprise. FDI is typically positive, but in some instances could be negative, such as when the value of loan from the direct investment enterprise to the direct investor is larger than the loans from the direct investor to the direct investment enterprise. For example, a Singapore-based company outward FDI in another economy in the ASEAN region will include the equity capital invested by the Singapore-based company in an enterprise in that ASEAN member state. Retained earnings recorded by this enterprise, as well as net intercompany loans between Singapore-based company and the enterprise. Let us visualize how FDI can change over time. In year 1, company X, which is based in Singapore, invested $50 million in equity capital in company Y, domiciled in a foreign economy, resulting in Singapore's outward FDI stock increasing from $0 to $50 million by the end of the year. In the following year, another $10 million is invested in equity capital, raising the FDI stock to $60 million as at the end of the year. 2. In year 3, company X lends $40 million in intercompany loans to company Y, raising Singapore's outward FDI stock to $100 million as at the end of the year. 3. With $10 million in earning at the end of Tier 4 and dividends payable amounting to $4 million, the FDI stock at the end of Tier 4 stand at $106 million. What are the benefits of FDI? The host economy benefit from FDI through job creation as well as knowledge and technological transfer. For investors, undertaking FDI helps them build distribution network and gain access to new technologies or natural resources. Singapore's inward FDI has grown considerably since the early 1970s. Foreign multinational enterprises have been actively investing in Singapore, which contributed to our economic expansion over the years. As Singapore's economy grew, outward FDI has become increasingly pivotal to our growth strategy. More companies based in Singapore internationalize to seek new opportunities abroad. For more information on foreign direct investment statistics, its related concepts and methodologies. So, in terms of financing development, sometimes a country will need help from another country, and one of the choice for that is we can use foreign aid or investment. And of course we will talk about the controversy, but that's matter, so let's begin with international flow of financial research. So for the international finance research, basically we have three research. We have the investment, the private direct or portal for your investment, and then we also have remittance of earning by international migrant, and then we also have the public and private development assistance. Okay, let's talk about the investment first. So investment can definitely help counter development. So one of the type of investment mentioned in this chapter is the foreign direct investment. So one of this example is the multinational corporation. So when an M.Si invests, or they open a branch, or they open a firm, or they open a manufacturer in developing country, so that type of foreign direct investment, and then there has been a recent growth in the FDI. So like if you notice, for example, Apple do their manufacturing in China, in Taiwan, instead of the United States, so that an example of a foreign direct investment. It's been quite popular actually, like for example, some of the Japanese automobile industry and more. Okay, now let's take a look at figure 14.1. Here this is the trend of FDI inflows from 1980 to 2008. As you can see that the trend is positive. The trend is increasing. Okay, this is billion of US dollar, and this is the time from 80s to 2008. And then this is the FDI that I stand by developing economies, the developed economies, and the languishing economy, but in total it's increasing. Let's talk about FDI during COVID-19 pandemic. COVID-19 pandemic began as a public health crisis, but has now developed into one of the greatest challenges to international trade and investment. The need to restrict interaction has gone against the interconnectedness, which is the foundation of the global value chain. With international trade predicted to contract by 13 to 32% in 2020 due to the pandemic, corporations simply have less cash available to invest in new ventures or to expand existing facilities. Consequently, FDI is predicted to fall even deeper, reducing by as much as 40% depending on how long the outbreak lasts. Let's talk about how Indonesia faced the challenge to investment. As the largest economy in Southeast Asia, such GVC diversion should be welcome news for Indonesia. However, Indonesia is relatively unattractive to foreign investors compared to its neighbor. As figure 1 shows, although its ease of doing business ranking has improved significantly since 2014, this has been insufficient to catch up with most of its peers. In fact, openness to FDI has been declining before reversing in 2015. Both indicators show no improvement since 2017, which is rather unfortunate considering gains made by its neighbor in the same period. That's all from me. If I have any mistaken in pronouncing and explaining the material, I am sincerely sorry. And thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.